fantasy football season. He has a few kickers I have as sleepers this week. The first guy is Dustin Hopkins of the Washington football team. So last season, towards the end of the year, Dustin Hopkins, he was a pretty good kicker for fantasy football and this Washington team here. And Hopkins, he's got a pretty decent matchup this week versus the Chargers. I think the Chargers defense is a bend but don't break type of defense. And I could see Dustin Hopkins getting a few opportunities of kicking a few 40 or 50 yarders in this ball game. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him get double digits. So if you need a kicker or just a sleeper guy this week, if you're in a deep league or whatever the case may be here, Hopkins, he's out there in 94% of fantasy leagues. And I think he could have a surprising week here as a kicker. And if you need more kicking advice, I got up on the channel right now the top 12 kickers here in the rankings for week 1 of the fantasy football season. So check that out as well. The second kicker I have as a sleeper this week's Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seahawks, they're in a ball game this week versus the Indianapolis Colts. And I think this could be a mini shootout over there in Indianapolis. And right here, we know the Seattle Seahawks offense is very explosive, and they could put up points in a hurry on the board here. And Jason Myers, he's a guy that's going to get opportunities. He's a pretty good kicker as well. The only thing with him is he don't really hit many 50-plus yarders, which obviously is a big shot to hit in fantasy leagues, which gets you 5 or 6 points depending your scoring here. But this week, I think the Seahawks are going to be in the red zone early and often versus the Colts, even though I think the Colts are a pretty decent defense this season. But Russell Wilson in this offense is pretty explosive, and I think Myers is going to have a decent amount of opportunities to have a good fantasy day, and I think he's a good sleeper this week. And he's also available right now in 67% of leagues. And the final kicker I have as a sleeper this week, Joseph of the Minnesota Vikings. So the Vikings, they got a good matchup this week at the Cincinnati Bengals. And another offense, not many people talk about that, in my opinion, are very explosive, is this Viking team. You got Kirk Cousins, who's a pretty decent quarterback. Last year, he had 35 touchdowns. You got a great receiver in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And you got arguably one of the best running backs in football in Dalvin Cook. So right here, I think the Vikings are going to put up points in this game. They're going to get in the red zone with many opportunities at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I don't think they did enough on defense this season to really compete in that aspect. I like the Bengals' offense, but their defense I don't like. And I think Joseph, he's going to get many opportunities to have a decent amount of extra points and maybe hit 2 or 3 field goals in this ball game. So right now, he's available in 98% of fantasy leagues. And it wouldn't surprise me to see Joseph have a double-digit day in this ball game at Cincinnati. So that's a few kickers I have as sleepers here heading into week 1 of the fantasy football season.